Alright, welcome back to a new video. In this video, I will show you how to use remote events and remote functions to sort of communicate between the server and the client. So, you'll see here, I would recommend that you use a remote event, by the way, for going only from a server to a client and not for going from a client script to a client script or a server script to a server script, which isn't very common anyway. But if you're gonna do that, I'll probably make a video in the future about bindable events and bindable functions, as those are better for that. So what I'm gonna do, oops, not that type of script. What I'm gonna do is create a server script and a local script right here. So this server script is in server script service, and this local script is in local script. In starter GUI. And basically what I'm going to do is define both of these. And I'm not going to change the name just for this example, so you can tell the difference between them. So first of all, I'm going to do a remote event. And let me just define everything really quickly. So I'll say, what's it called? I'll remember it later. Services. Yeah, so services. We can say a local replicated storage equals game get service replicated storage, and then I can say remotes, and then I can say local remote event equals replicated storage wait for child remote event, and then I can say local remote function equals replicated storage wait for child remote function, just like that. And now I'll just copy this over to the client script because we need to have this on both of the scripts so they can both see this. And then what I'm going to do is basically just do a simple fire all clients, and then I'll do a fire client. So what I'm going to do first is go from a server script to a client script. So I'm going to do the remote event first. So remote event fire all clients, and I'll say hello. Like that. And then here, what I'm going to do to receive this is say remote event dot on client event connect, and you can either create the function when you're doing it, or you can create a function beforehand. So I could say local function client event, like that, and then I could have it say remote event dot on client event connect, and then say client event, like that. But I'm not going to do that in this case. I'm just going to define it this way. So what I'm going to do is basically get the parameter that I sent over from the server. That's the hello text. So I'm going to say text. I'm going to say print text. And we'll actually see if this works in just a second. And actually it might not work because the server might load in before the client. So what I'm going to do is add like a 5-second wait to that, and we should see it actually print then. So I'm going to wait 5 seconds, and after that, yep, there we go. If we got the hello message, and this is coming from this client script on this on client event. And I never said print hello, I said print text, and text is the value that we sent over and received from there, sort of. So I hope that makes sense. So next we're going to do client to server. So I'll say remote event Fireserver. Oh, and also if you want to do fire client, I'll show you that first. So remote event fire client. If you're doing this, you'd have to define the player you want to send it to. So if we had a player, we would say player, and then you could send it to a specific player, and then that specific client would be the only one to receive it. And by the way, that first value you send as the player, when you do that, can't actually be read from the other script, so make sure that you actually define the player again if you want to get the player. Although, if you're doing a script and you're giving it to someone, you can just define the local player. You could say local player equals game.players.localPlayer. So yeah, there you go. So next we're going to do Fireserver, and I'm going to say hi, just so it's different. And I'm going to go over here, and basically, what I'm going to do, before this wait 5, so we don't get it stuck in we don't have it happen before the event happens, or whatever, yeah. So remote event dot on server event, connect function, and then we'll do text again, just like that, and I'll print text. And I believe this one should print without having to wait for anything. Yeah, wait, no. Alright, so here it says print text. Oh, yeah, that's one thing to keep in mind if you're doing it from a local script to a server script. The first variable, you don't have to send it. Actually, yeah, you don't send it. But the first parameter in here has to be the player, and that's just automatically sent from the local script. As you can see, I didn't send that or anything. And basically it sent the player name because that was the first thing that showed up sort of in the list of parameters. So now you'll see it prints hi just fine. So next I'm going to get into remote functions. And let's look at the remote function page, and we'll see exactly how this is different. So I'm here on the remote functions page, just right here, and it says a remote function can be used to create in-game APIs that both the client and the server can use to communicate with each other. For like bindable function, a remote event can be called, or like bindable function, a remote function can be called to do a certain action and return the result. If the result is not needed, we recommend you use a remote event instead, since it's called asynchronous and it doesn't need to wait for a response to continue execution. So basically, a remote function is a function that happens on another server, and you're basically waiting for a result from that server. So let me go over here and sort of explain that. And also, I should have read this at the top here. You should rarely invoke, or a server should rarely invoke a client, as it could be game breaking because it may wait for a response and never get it, and then that server script is sort of stuck. And while, a client script, it would be sort of bad if a client script got stopped, like forever, they could just rejoin, it would be fine. But if you have a server script get stopped for whatever reason, then the game's just broken at that point. There's a lot more worse stuff that could happen. And instead of one player rejoining, it would be an entire server resetting for it to get back to normal. And if that error is happening, it'll probably happen over and over again, and you'll need to just fix what's going on for it to work in any way. But yeah, you definitely try to avoid doing server to client invokes, although I am going to show how that works as well. So what we're going to do first is the client to server. As it said, that's what it recommends. So what I'm going to do here, I'll actually get rid of these past lines so it's sort of less confusing. Come on, keyboard, you can do it. Hello? Alright, my keyboard just decided to stop. Alright, so now what I'm going to do is say remote. Okay, there we go. Remote function, fire, or I don't think it's fire in this case. What do we use for this? In our case, we use invoke, so invoke server. And then we could give whatever information we wanted. So if we wanted to say true or something. So what we'd probably want to do with this is say local server result equals. And if you're not trying to get a result, as it said, use a remote event instead, because that's going to be better and easier. So server result equals remote function invoke server true. And really, I don't know why I said true, but yeah, you get the point. So remote function dot on server invoke connect Am I doing that wrong, or is that just the autocomplete? Just, okay. It seems like it's fine. Alright, so I'll say text. Don't know why I did double T there. Alright, so I'm going to print text. And then this is how it makes it different from a remote function, or this is how remote functions are different from remote events. So basically you can say return hi. Return hi, like that. And if you don't know, return basically it stops the function and returns to the original thing. So in our case, we can then print server result, and it should print hi on the client once it is done doing whatever it's doing here. So let's hit play, and oh yeah, that's my fault. Alright, so dot on server invoke equals function. Like that. I believe that's how you do it. So instead of doing that, say it is a function, and there's still an error actually. Oh yeah, get rid of that. And we should be good. Just because it handles it a little differently, it has to be seen as a thing for some reason. Oh yeah, and I forgot to say, it does the same thing with remote functions as it does with remote events, and that is that the player is passed in first automatically when you're going from a client script to a server script. So I just add the player. So you'll see true, which was coming over from the client script here, and then you have hi, which was returned from here. And you'll see this as in parentheses or something. That's a mistake I used to make. But yeah, you just return whatever values you want. You could probably include multiple values. I mean, yeah, that would work. So yeah, then lastly, I'm going to do server to client, although as it said, you probably shouldn't do this. So what I'm going to do is delete all this stuff again. I'm going to say remote function, colon, invoke client, and then I will say, what will I say? Well, actually, can you invoke all clients? No, it doesn't look like you can invoke all clients. So I'm going to do a game.players.player_added connect function, and I get the player automatically, and then I'll do an invoke client to basically get the client. So invoke client, and I'll get the player, and remember that part isn't passed to the local script, and then I'll say hi again. Alright, and then I'll say remote function dot on client invoke equals function, and then text. And then we will do print text, and then return the truth. Just like that, I don't know. Alright, so now I'll say, well, we actually want to say local result equals that, and then we will print result here. And I believe this actually won't work on Roblox Studio because the on player added event is sort of weird in Studio. So what I'm going to do is quickly just open this, and actually, well, it did work. Alright, I believe it did. Okay, so basically this local script from the client, it got the text hi, and you can see here, yes, I said to give it the word hi. And then it said the truth in the server script because that's what I returned here. So that's pretty much going to do it for this video. Sorry it was a bit of a long video, but hopefully that is all the information you need to sort of fully understand remote events and functions. And I also showed you pretty much every way you can use them. And if you did like the video, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel, as well as turning on post notifications, as it would help the channel, and you will get to see more of these videos in the future. Thanks you, and goodbye.